Name game.
Hello, everybody. Yes. Yep. Hello and welcome to Design Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and we are in our console Saturday because we have not played consoles in a bit, but we're here. Also, hi. How are you? What's new? What's going on? I'm
We're in
happy
the
to be
money.
here. Oh, I think there's something I need to tell you. What was it? Oh. What could it be? What could it be that might also require a megaphone? I don't know. What could it be? Oh wait, I know. We just got bits, and we got bits from Atomica, who is here, by the way. I am here, and because I got bits as a way of thanking Atomica for giving me the excuse, I'm going to sing "We're in the Money," the song "We're in the Money," as sung by Ginger Rogers from the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin, and I'm going to do that right now. Because, you know why. It's been too long. What if I don't remember how it goes? Also to tell you something. Maybe even show you something. Both. It is related to me singing this song right now. Airway and hey, the anime. Hey, the ice skates are on, say. Old man, the aviation pray, ooh, ooh, there you what the only young even if we read, say, and say, if we had Brian say, oh, day. And we see the end little for the guy there in the IA. We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Did I forget a line? I think I might have. Thank you so much for those bits. Thank you. Thank you. There's something else I wanted to, honey dip donuts. There's something else I wanted to tell you. my players alter the entire path from where my campaign is at to where it's going with one single nat 20 that was just too good to turn down. I love that. During last night's story planning on like the next 2 months of game, I love that too. I've had those moments, and it makes me really happy. Also, I just wanted to say something else. It was what was it? It was oh yeah, that's right. It was the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. Treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. Then I say Bo at a B. Then I say the name. Then banana, fan, info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Trigger treat, trigger treat, bo, bigger treat, banana, fan, fo, figure treat, fee, fi, mo, mig, or treat. Trigger treat, the name game. Woo! Hey. Thanks for that resub, Trig. I cannot wait for our summer gladiatorial arena. That's all I'm going to say about that. One does not simply Krispy Kreme. So, so something happened last night multiple times in a row, and it spiraled, and it wasn't the best. And I'm going to tell you what it was, because maybe you can empathize. So last night I was eating food. After stream, and I bit the inside of it. I bit the inside of my lip accidentally. You know how that is when you just like bite the inside of your lip. And the problem with that though was that I did not bite the inside of my lip at the end of my food eating, but near the beginning of my food eating. And sometimes when you bite the inside of your lip, it causes the inside of your lip to swell a little bit, which then means you bite the inside of your lip again, you know, and then again, and then again. And then multiple times, then you're just like biting the inside of your lip, and you're like, I don't want to bite the inside of my lip, but then you do. And then, first off, was I eating on schedule? No, because I was eating after stream last night, which means I was eating at like, you know, midnight. Not the point though. But I bit the inside of my lip so many times last night, and here, I don't know if you can see it. Here, hold on. I feel like you could, like, I'm all bruised. My lip is all bruised. I look ridiculous. Anyway, that was what you talked about, Willis. It wasn't fun. Yeah, I hate when I do that too. Like, it's terrible. Not fun at all. I was like, no. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that I'm really excited for my summer campaign of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 1E. And I got a book. And it is I guess it's from Wizards of the Coast, but it's the making of the original Dungeons and Dragons from 1970 to 1977. And this is basically, it's a book, obviously. Yes, I do like things like that. But what it is like all the original, like, manuscripts, typewritten notes, all of the very, very original things with annotations from, you know, letters from Gygax to Arneson, etc. When they were sort of when they were first creating the Dungeons and the Dragons. Which I thought was really cool. And I was just... So I do not have time right now to read this at the moment, but as soon as I get time, I will. But I thought that was really cool. But it made me, made me reflective. It made me think about my complicated relationship to Dungeons and Dragons. Um, what were we thinking? Nostalgia. Because the thing is, Dungeons and Dragons is such a complicated thing for me, you know? Because like many people of my generation, although not everyone, some people started with Warhammer Fantasy or other games, right? But like many people in my generation, D&D was the first game RPG that I played. And that is a complicated thing, you know? Not for nostalgia purposes necessarily, but because uh, it's not a bad game, you know? It may not be, I mean, for me, back in the day when I was first playing it, the problem wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. It was the players of Dungeons and Dragons who were hostile and creepy. That was the problem. You know what I mean? Like if the people I were playing with were less creepy, I would have had more fun, which I did when I was playing with my theater group, like my theater kids. Then I had way more fun. And there are other games I like better, but I don't think it's a bad game. And I think that has given a lot of people a lot of joy over many, many decades. And but there were just some really jerky people who were playing that I was like, oh, I don't want to play with you. And also yeah. So, you know, it's just a complicated thing, but I think that there is, you know, I think there's interesting stuff in there. Anyway, so I'm excited about running AD&D 1E when the summer comes. That's all. Some started with Atari. Some did start with Atari. I started with, well, okay. I mean, I started with arcade games, but then I started with arcade games, and then there was a Poor Richard's, which was a electronics store that opened up. They didn't last super long, but there was an electronics store that was in my neighborhood actually, and they had an early Atari that had Pong on it. You know, Pong, and I was super small, and I would just go over to that store, that electronics store, and I would just play Pong because they had like a display little Atari. It's like one of the early Ataris. They had a little display one out, and like all the little neighborhood kids would go over to Poor Richard's and then just play Pong. We did not buy the Pong because we were kids, but you know, we did play it, and we were like, oh, look how fancy Pong is. Yeah, I eventually got a ColecoVision. You know, Atomic says, oh, I also have a fun TTRPG question because I'm working on a game for this summer. I'm ready. I probably talked about it already because I've been working on this for about 2 years. I was also a pinball wizard before arcade games. When I was a little kid, I would play pinball all day long. It was my joy. What's an electronics store? Yeah, Poor Richards. I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. And man, when you got to see Pong and you've never seen anything like it and you're like, ooh. I mean, it wasn't as good as like the arcade games, but like it was still pretty cool. Yep. I'm going to Atomica, ask me the question. We're going to play, by the way, we're going to play Heaven's Vault is what we're going to do because I should take a screenshot of that. It's fine. See what's happening. Heaven's Pong. Hey, the game started. The story so far. Aaliyah's search for the roboticist, Janiki Remba, has ended at the wreckage of his ship. Remba was looking for the Vault, an ancient observatory he believed to hold the only hope of preventing a darkness from overtaking the nebula. Using a similar device to one the roboticist uncovered, Six has triangulated a possible location for the Vault, but it lies impossibly far beyond the borders of the nebula. Remba's search began with a telescope-like device recovered from a buried ship. Aaliyah has found something similar at an old recording station. Just turn down the volume a little bit. Rinba was looking for trouble and then found it, apparently. Atomica says, I'm working on a game called The Glen. The setting is that a government entity isolates a cul-de-sac, yeah, I remember that, and the players have to figure out what is going on. There's a lot of cloak and dagger, and the GM can work to turn the players against each other. I'm building it in GURPS. I was curious if you have any suggestions for modules to look into. May I ask a clarification question? When you say module, do you mean adventure module or do you mean supplement, or both, either or? So I would like to know, do you mean adventure module or supplement? That's my first question, because because you know, Atomica, right? These things make a difference. Hold on. So you have to know that I do not have all of my GURPS books unpacked. I don't have all of my games unpacked because I need to claim the next higher shelf. And I just haven't done that yet because, look, I have to claim the next higher shelf, and I don't want to unpack until I can do so in a way that will allow me to start alphabetizing things easier. And also, I'm having unpacking, like, what if I move? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if I move in soon? Then I don't want to unpack and then just repack. Anyway, look, that's not the point. Hold on, let me look. So when I say that I don't have all, I'm talking specifically my GURPS 3rd edition books, and I know this because I don't have all the alphabet. I have like that chunk right there is basically T downwards, but hold on. So I've got like the beginning of the alphabet and the end of the alphabet in my GURPS 3rd edition books, but hold on. So, depending on what you're looking for, you might find GURPS Atomic Horror interesting. This is, you know, I really should run this. Not the point, because I should run something else too. This is basically B-movie, 1950s B-movie sci-fi. Science runs amok in B-movie adventures. Alien invaders, giant lizards from another age, flesh-eating zombies, colossal insects, mad scientists, blobs. Only you can defend humanity, civilization, and the American way from these terrible horrors. GURPS Atomic Horror contains everything you need to roleplay the science fiction and horror movies of the 1950s. The campaign can be as scary as The Thing, as dramatic as The Day the Earth Stood Still, as strange as Little Shop of Horrors, or as goofy as Plan 9 from Outer Space. The choice is yours. Characters can be square-jawed scientists and military men, heroic explorers, misunderstood teenagers, Cold War spies, G-men, gangsters, or just ordinary folks caught up in unearthly weirdness. GURPS Atomic Horror contains a comprehensive guide to 1950s politics, society, and attitudes suitable for any campaign, not just science fiction horror. 5 new alien races, completely described and ready to invade the Earth. In fact, some of them are already here. Guidelines for creating more than a dozen different kinds of movie monsters, from gillmen to carnivorous plants to living brains in jars. Alternate world campaigns like a 50s where the Nazis won World War II, or a futuristic 1950s where our own flying saucers conquered space, and a detailed filmography listing dozens of 1950s science horror films from the classics to the turkeys. So 3rd edition, but that might be interesting for you, depending on what you're wanting. But, you know, when I think suburbia, I think Atomic Horror. I know the feeling. I rearranged my entire room and threw out 2 trash bags of junk while I had the entire apartment to myself. Carl asked, am I going to move soon? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Because, you know, I live in this storm, and I feel like I can't live here forever. I do like the not... Because here's the thing. I have a job to do, right? Which is being the scholar in residence. And I was gone last semester, but I never got contacted by the Office of Res Life, and I've not been contacted by them this semester either. So here I am, and but our RAs became unionized, and I don't believe within their new union contract they can work with me anymore. And that makes it really awkward, because part of the whole thing of being a scholar in residence is that I team up with the RAs to do joint programming. And one of the big things is that if I do a programming, they tend to do the advertising because they have residents, right? Like I'm in this residence hall, I would talk to the RAs would tell their residents, hey, there's a program. And without that buy-in from the RAs or that collaboration, it's really hard to get the word out and have people come. So here I am being a scholar in residence and I'm not being used at all. And I am happy for that this year because I was off and all of that, but it feels like how much longer are they going to be here without having me do anything? I can't imagine it's going to last longer. And I mean, like, have they forgotten that I'm here? So I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on. And so am I moving? I don't know. Are those get to the bunker Fallout? Atomic says the fun part of the game is there's no limit to the issue causing the isolation, though it can affect things. But the problem actually affecting the cul-de-sac ends the game. It's meant to run for about a max of about 10 to 15 sessions, depending on difficulty. Ooh. So again, I will say, let me ask, what decade is the game set in? And what vibe are you looking for? Because I think you could probably do a lot with just the basic set. I don't think you necessarily need a huge number of supplements depending on what you're looking for. So depending on what you're looking for, the basic set is fine. Yeah. So I will always say that you can run GURPS absolutely fine with just GURPS Lite or just the basic set. If you wanted to add things on, it depends on what you want to have happen in your game. I don't think you need to add anything, but again, what decade are you in and what kinds of things do you want to be in your game? Because depending on the answer to those things, GURPS mysteries might be interesting. Depending again, you might want powers. I rarely use powers, but I mean, as a supplement, because I find the powers that are in the basic book are just fine. There might be some small little, they've got little add-ons, some of which might be interesting for you, depending on what you want to do. What's the vibe? What's the vibe that you're looking for? This will help. Modern era. If it's a modern era, you may not need anything. You might just be fine with just GURPS as it is. It would depend on, yeah, I don't think you need anything else. Depending on what else is going in the game. Yeah, you're probably fine. So the base setup is that there's an overseer. The overseers set the difficulty by their nature to observe, not necessarily legally, the residents. And there's a total, if you mess up, the black van takes you to a farm upstate in the middle of the night. I think you probably don't need anything extra. I don't think you do. I mean, you can get away with just what's in the book. The two main books, that's fine. Yeah, actually, I don't think you need anything extra. If it were, again, yeah, I think you're fine. There are, like, I don't know if you want psionics, but again, there are psionics in the book. You're probably fine with just the base books. I don't think you need anything extra. Are there things you could use? Sure. Is there anything you need to use? I don't think so. I think you could be fine, especially if you're doing like basically normal humans in a creepy location. I think you're fine. I don't think you need anything extra. Boom. That's my take. In case you wanted to know. Yeah, especially if the people are just regular folks. They're just regular folks. I don't think you need anything extra. I figured I'd ask in case anything to mind. I appreciate this. No, the thing is, look, there are always things out there, cool and fun things, but the great thing about GURPS is that you can play it out of the box. People say, and I hate when they say this, it's a pet peeve of mine, when they say, GURPS is not an RPG, it's a toolbox to build your own RPG, and that's just not true. There are other games, like I think maybe Fudge is a toolbox to build your own RPG, because when you're reading through Fudge, they're like, Does your game have hit points? I don't know. Would you like hit points? You can if you want. Does your game have skills and attributes? I don't know. You can if you want, right? It like there's really no assumption. There's no assumption of a base game for Fudge, which by the way is why Fate became popular, because it took Fudge and it made a base game out of it. People love Fudge though. Fudge is cool, but Fudge is very much like it's a toolkit to build your own RPG. Whereas GURPS is not a toolkit to build your own RPG. It is an RPG with a lot of options, and that's not the same thing. Like you customize, right? Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like it's like a oh wait. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm almost there. I want this. Whoop. That's almost good enough for government work. Basic. And wait. This needs to be adjusted just a little bit. Hold on. Wait. Whoop. And I just need to do a little bit of adjusting right here. And with this adjustment, we can probably go to right about there, and then here, and then here, and then, wait, I already have it. Good. It's already set up. Great. Okay, so character point total. Here, by the way, is the, I didn't want to, I could just pull my book out, but I feel like it's easier to show you this way. So here is the chapter 2, which is the advantages section of the characters book. And so the first thing is power level, right? Atomic is like, yeah, the overseers are going to be fun to design because easy overseers might have a soft spot for kids, be really resistant to mess with the residents and less provoked. It might even be able to be turned. But then hard mode might be someone so strict that their warning shot goes into the player's, their player SO's, simulate others' chest for minor infractions. They would be average powered, but should be regular people being put in unusual circumstances, so probably 150 points. It might be fun to have a super hard mode psionic overseer. Okay. Heavens, wait for it, we're a second. Okay, wait, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things. The first thing is, I'm going to tell you my opinion, and this is my opinion. That's what I'm going to tell you. There are people who look at, where is it? Starting points. Yeah, so the cult of stat normalization has really restrictive ideas about character point level. And I don't think you should listen to them. I think you should not. Instead, I think you should do other things. So the GURPS campaign book says that the basic levels are feeble, which is under 25 points, which is good for small children, mindless thralls, and zombies. It's unsuitable for PCs in any but the darkest or most humorous of campaigns. Average, which is 25 to 50, which are ordinary folks such as accountants and cab drivers. Competent, which is 50 to 75 points. Athletes, cops, wealthy gentry, anyone who has a clear advantage over average people on an adventure. Exceptional, which is 75 to 100. Star athlete, seasoned cops, etc. With little experience. With a little experience, these individuals could become full-time adventurers. Heroic, which is 100 to 200 points. People at the realistic pinnacle of physical, mental, or social achievement. Navy SEALs, world-class scientists, and millionaires. Most full-time adventurers start their careers around 150 points, and then you get larger than life, which is 200 to 300, a superhuman, 500 to 1,000, and then godlike, which is 1,000 or over. So here's the thing about this. How this leads to people having certain feelings. Some people feel like it is unrealistic to have a PC that's more than 50 points. And I just disagree. I disagree 100% with this one. Because Navy SEALs do exist as people, but also all sorts of people exist as people, and they are in the real world. So I think restricting people to 50 points is not in the name of realism. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, I need to say that 150 points can feel very normal and realistic depending on your campaign expectations. There are different ways of conceiving of a character in GURPS, and different GMs have different styles on this. And the people who say that anything above 50 is unrealistic GM in very different ways than I do. And how you GM is going to impact what those 50 points feels like, and also how players make their characters. So for example, the people who we call them the cult of stat normalization, who tend to think that nobody should have a stat above a 10, maybe one person, because 10 is average, so like nobody should have an 11 or 12, right? And these are people who, again, tend to favor very low stats, and for whom their game doesn't have a lot of skills. Or when they make characters, they make characters with very small numbers of skills. If you have a character who has very few skills, like your average character has maximum 10 skills, maybe, then I guess you don't need as many points. Also, they tend to not want people's skills to go above a 12. They think most people's skills should be off of default. They're like, I mean, most people don't even have any points in skills at all, they would say. They would say most people just have like, they run off of default on everything. And in their position, they run off of default, but they get the +4 bonus for routine tasks that are done not in a stressful situation. And so for them, people are running around with skills of 6, which is really bad. I mean, I just don't know what to tell you. That's just really bad. If you have a skill of 10 or less, you have a 50% chance of succeeding. And so they're like, oh yeah, people just basically don't have skills, and then they just run off of default, and so then they're like at a 50-50 chance of failing everything. And I was like, yeah, this is just not how I run. And I also have not found that to be particularly fun. Well, given the limited session count, I want them to be able to do a lot in a limited amount of time. They aren't going to have 10 campaigns to increase. Right, and also GURPS very often increases slowly, depending on how you run it. But like, I mean, I don't tend to give out more than, I mean, on average, I give out 2 to 3 points a session anyway, which is not like huge amounts. Like, yeah, so I should hope that is not the condition at their daily work location. I would hope not either, but also things like driving. They're like, oh yeah, you don't like, man, so these people are like, the average person doesn't have skill in drive would be their position. Like the average American, let's say, because, you know, I just saw the statistic that says that 90% of all Americans have cars and like 36% have 2 or more. And I'm like one of the 8-9% that does not have a car. Anyhow, point being here that they're like, yeah, the average American doesn't even have the drive skill. They just do everything off of default. But I have to vehemently disagree. Because a skill point theoretically represents 200 hours of doing that thing. There are multipliers, right? There are multipliers that would involve 200 hours is like a general ballpark, but intense training takes fewer hours. On the job training is more hours, right? And I don't think it's true that your average American who drives every day to work and back does not have a point in drive. I just don't think that's true. If they are younger, but they also, like, a lot of young people nowadays go through like a semester's worth of driver's ed or intense training, and those people are gonna have a point in, you know what I mean? Like, so for a lot of the people in the cult of stat normalization, they're like, yeah, you only need 50 points, because for them, people just don't have points in skills or stats. Like it's very, very minimal. You know, that's a good song. It's true. Does folk on warmer states take the stat penalty on winter driving? You could say that you can have a familiarity penalty, actually, Volus. You can absolutely, so like, I would rather have people have the point in the skill and then take a familiarity penalty rather than say they just don't have the skill at all. So how many points you have is going to depend on how you conceive of a character. The next thing to point out is that I'm a more skills versus fewer skills. So that group, they don't think of people having many skills at all, right? They think of people having just a very, very small number of skills and everything else is default. Whereas I don't do that. I'm a person who basically insists, not for the Gladiator Arena, because that's not that kind of campaign. But for a full campaign, I insist that characters have a number of skills that are that other people would think of as not being efficient, right? So, for example, there are, unless you have a really good reason why, I think everybody in most campaigns, right, should have area knowledge for where they live, right? If you've lived in a place for more than 200 hours and you walk around that place and you're around that place, you're going to have area knowledge of that place, maybe only 1 point, right? You could give me a story why it is that you don't have area knowledge of some place. I would like to know what that story is. But so for me, area knowledge, I would say that you're going to have some kind of skill related to whatever job it is that you have or have done the most of. I would like to know if you have a hobby at all, and you're probably going to have at least a point. So like a GURPS character in a campaign that I run is probably going to have a number of skills that other people think of as being pointless. But for me, it's about rounding out the character and who they are. And actually, you never know when flower arranging will end up being really important in a campaign. And so many times these players will take one of these skills that they don't think is very interesting, or may not think originally, if they're coming from a different system, would be important, but then they do become important. I had a character that, not my character, but a player in the GURPS Traveler Interstellar Wars campaign that I ran, for whom their video game skill became actually really, really important. It was they ended up running into the daughter of the planetary governor at the high port, and they ended up getting into like a video game competition, and that actually became really important for like making alliances. Anyway, so a player character in one of the campaigns I run, if I'm running a longer campaign, is probably going to have closer to 20 skills or 25 skills rather than 10 skills. And so having more points makes sense in a campaign that I'm running, because the characters they have more skills. Now, are those skills super high level? They're not necessarily super high level, but I like to sort of represent the wide range of knowledge that the character has through skills, right? So for me, I would say that, and also because we dance revolution our way to the chapel. Let me tell you what, they had allies. It was really good. How would having warehouse work be a useful skill? Give me a baseball cap and a handcart and I'll show you. Atomica, this is the thing. If you have a character who's like, I work in a warehouse, that's what I do. And some people would be like, oh, okay, well, you have like 10 in everything, and maybe an 11 in strength, and you have no skills. And I was like, oh, no. If you are a warehouse worker, that would justify having higher strength and health. Depending on what you do, like also you could definitely, you do you, right? You might have a higher dex. You're definitely going to have a number of skills, right? You're going to have lifting. You're going to have, you might have admin. There's all sorts of skills you're going to have. And also besides your job, you do other things as well, right? You might have baseball lore. I don't know what all the things you've got going on, but like for me, when I'm doing a GURPS character in a GURPS campaign, I want to see, because GURPS is granular, right? GURPS is a kind of a granular game, and I tend to want to see that granularity reflected on the character sheet, which means I'm going to give you more points. It's just, in the end, how that works out. Yeah. Logistics. Oh my gosh, logistics. Mike Emmontrout, walk with a clipboard and authority ignores you, right? You might have stealth. You might have all sorts of skills. So generally speaking, also here's the other thing too. People take these benchmarks in ways that so people will say 10 is an average for a skill, 12 if it's professional. You might have persuasion, bluff, haggling. Hey, Hawkeye, how you doing? Lawnmower, yeah. Right, you might have persuasion, bluff, haggling. You might have fast talk. You might have, all sorts of things. You know what I mean? Like, I am very giving that way. Smoke breaks. So the other thing is they were like, oh, well, 10 is an average skill level and 12 is professional. So most people should have 10s in skills they do, and a 12 and only 1 or 2 skills that it's their job. But here's the thing about that. If you look at the book, 12 is beginning professional. Like you've graduated from college and it's your first job and you start at 12. And I would make the caveat, which sometimes people do not, only for skills wherein if you fail, it is not terrible, right? So, because basically you can get a bonus to routine tasks if you're not under pressure. And there are many skills, like I could imagine somebody has admin, at 12, if that's their job, good on you. And maybe, but of course, if they've done it over time, they're going to end up getting higher than 12. But if your skill is surgeon, pilot, right, driver, if the cost of failure is bad, I think you should have at least and or otherwise, if you do your job when it is under pressure or under time, right, then you're not gonna have a 12. You're gonna have at least a 14 on that skill. I do not want, because 12 is a 75% failure, right? I do not want my pilot to be having a 12 in piloting their commercial aircraft. I want them to have a 14, because if you have a 14, because also piloting is a little bit stressful, but the minute you have a storm or rain or all the kinds of like not so routine things, you're going to have a better shot of being okay. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Right. So I'm just saying I tend to go for a benchmark of 10 for things you don't use very often, or that are kind of rusty on, like, you know, just a point, whatever you got. 12 for beginning professionals, 14 for professionals who've done it for a while, and whose jobs are more high pressure, is what I would say. We're talking about GURPS. No, but we've got it. Surge and botches heal. Everyone here. Yeah. Right. So I think that for me, you have to think about how many skills are you thinking about having, how competent. Do you plan on having them have lower skills and then just giving them bonuses? So for me, if you're playing averagey people, super averagey people, who you don't plan on having them do lots and lots of like more traditional adventuring, 100 I think is fine. 125, 125. What I would do if I were you is I would make some test characters yourself. And also it's going to depend on other things too, right? So another thing that happens is if you're really kind of thinking about a murder hobo character, you can get away with slightly lower skill points. But for me, again, not only do I expect you to have area knowledge, a profession skill, a hobby skill, that's 3 right there, 3 points, let's say. I also expect you to have realistic, like I think about advantages and disadvantages quite a lot. And basically, if you are optimizing for an adventure, I suppose you could have fewer, I guess. But I'm thinking about things like, okay, do you have dependents? Do you have allies? Do you have wealth? Do you have status? Like there are a lot of social things that I make sure the characters think, that the players think about when it comes to creating their characters. Do you have, are you handsome? Are you ugly? Like what is the, you know, what you got going on? And so I try to make sure that they're building their character in a more, because that is for me, one of the glories of GURPS is that you actually can make a character who's a doctor and therefore has status 1. You know what I mean? You can have those things. So for me, my characters tend to be higher points, but still feel average, right? Like you can have a 150 character point that feels like an average person if you build them a bit more fully. I think you can still do that with 100 and 125. I personally don't like what a character looks like at 50 points. That doesn't, now a 50-point character is much faster to build, much faster to build, because you have no points. I mean, just for the record, just think like, so I think the gladiator game, I think everybody has 100 points for the gladiators, and that's only because they're not fully realized characters. Do you know what I mean? Like I think they're 100 points because again, not fully realized characters. They are, I might have even given them a bit more than that. I think it's 100. I don't think I give the gladiators a full 150 because if we were doing a full campaign with RP and all of that, I would expect you to have a lot more things in your character sheet besides mostly optimized towards gladiator fighting. So you would then be 150. But yeah, so for me, I think you can very easily have a character that feels like a very realistic, well-grounded character at 150, no problem. And I think you can do that with 100. I would make the character, but I think 100 is, if you're wanting to go for like averagey sort of people, if you are a sort of a higher skill count, a bit more competent sort of GM person, then I think 100 is fine. I'm skeptical about 75. I think you can do 75, but I think 100 is probably just better, especially if it's gonna be 10 to 15. Like let them enjoy themselves. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna say. GURPS is not a D20, it's 3d6. It's a 3d6 roll under system. Elboreth, yeah, I'm rolling up some super averagey people for a Call of Cthulhu game. Most of their skills are under 50%. I'm going to say this about Call of Cthulhu, and I mean this in the best possible way. Call of Cthulhu is a horror game where characters are expected to die. Part of the thing about Call of Cthulhu is that it has always been a pretty punishing system in many ways. When you have like a 30% in your profession skill, which means you fail 30% of the time, you know, that's rough. But I would say modern Call of Cthulhu, I think 7th edition has done some good things to help mitigate the swinginess and the kind of low powered, there's a reason why, yeah. I think one of the things that it does is that the advantage and disadvantage system, right? That Bane Boon thing helps, luck helps. But there's a reason why people want to, so in GURPS, beginning professional skill is 12, which is a 75% chance of success, right? And so I think that people feel way better when their profession skills at 75, which is the cap, by the way, in Call of Cthulhu. And very often you just you can't even get your skills up to that level. So but Call of Cthulhu is a game where you're very fragile, right? It's a very fragile sort of system, which is really good for horror. But again, I'd give him 100 points. That's what I do. Yeah. We might not want to go to IOX, but by the name of the mud, we are trying. We are. Atomic says, oh, I'm going to make it clear that murder hobo is a bad idea because the government security are murder hobos with bigger guns. That is fair. I'd say that for the gladiators, only their combat skills matter. There isn't enough RP for the painting hobby to matter. Right. Now, I will note that there are some non-combat skills that do get used because I did want to incorporate them. It's mostly about swaying the crowd, some social skills. But, you know, Roller says, Trooper's going to be a death evader on Wednesday. I am. Trick or treat, we got 100 points. Thank you, Trig. 100 points, right? If this were a full campaign, I'd give you 150. But I thought for a gladiator campaign, 100's good enough to get the template. And then, but of course, the thing is, I want to run this gladiator arena twice a year, at least for now, and then maybe I can do quarterly depending on how things work out. And you're going to get XP. So you might start at 100 points, but you're going to keep getting XP and you're going to end up being like a much higher point gladiator over time. So, you know, I certainly hope Velox will return. I will also note, just for the record, I was playing this transhuman space campaign, and I think by the time we start off at 250 points. This isn't, by the way, 250 points in GURPS 3rd edition, which is... In GURPS 3rd edition, the recommended starting point for characters was 100 points. In GURPS 4th, it's 150 because they've increased various costs. So you can think of like a 50% add-on. So I started with a 250 point character, which in GURPS 4th edition would be like 375. And I ended at 400, which is basically the equivalent of 600 points. And for many people, they would think that is super unrealistic and highly cinematic. And my character did not feel cinematic because he built those skills. He built up from 250 to 400 slowly over time. And I find that there's a big difference between a character that starts at 250 and builds up to 400 versus one that starts at 400. I had all sorts of random skills at one point because like there was an adventure where they were going through the forest and he got like hiking for that, but only 1 point. So like by the time we got to the end, he had like 50 something skills, but many of them were just they were not very high, right? And that doesn't make you feel like a unrealistic character. It actually feels like, oh yeah, you're a person who's lived this life. Oh, you did this, you did that, you learned a little bit here or there. And you don't come off like as a big cinematic character at all because you're not running around with super high stats or super high skills. So there is a difference between whether or not your character grows organically or whether or not you just give them a bucket of points. So, how does one level up in GURPS? So GURPS is created on character points. You get a certain number of points. And when you, at the end of every session, you tend to get a couple of points, a couple of character points. Your XP are just character points that you can then spend to buy up things. And how you do that is going to depend a little bit on the table culture. So for example, when I'm running a realistic campaign, you can't, and actually I do this basically anytime I run. It doesn't really matter. This is kind of like my simulation has been me. You cannot spend XP or character points on anything that has not been established in the world itself. I.e., for example, if you want to buy up strength, you need to have established in the game that you are strength training. Right, in some kind of a way. Like if your character is an accountant who never works out and never does anything to increase their strength, and then you say, I want to increase my strength, I'd say, well, but your character hasn't done anything to increase your strength, right? So I tend to be a little bit, it has to, like, you can't just buy a skill. There is an asterisk. I do have an asterisk here. Generally speaking, you cannot buy a skill we've not established that you're doing anything with it all. And that means like you have to say that you're training it or using it in game or something, right? Otherwise, like, what are you doing? Come on now. That said, I've yet to have anyone play an accountant in any game I've run. Oh, I was in a campaign with an accountant. Absolutely. Have I had more than one accountant in a game? Well, first I will note, yes, I have. Traveler, there's almost always an accountant in Traveler, and that's the person who's running the books, who has the broker skill. So there's always an accountant in Traveler. Almost, well, if you're playing a far trader, you're gonna have an accountant. But then I was in a GURPS transhuman space game as a player, and we all owned a private detective agency, and so we were all different types of detectives. And my character was a kind of an ex-cop, burly, traditional detective. We also had somebody who was a hacker. We had me, who was like the boxer. We had the hacker. We had the scientist. We had the ex-spy / priest, and then we also had the accountant. So our accountant was like a very important member of our private detective team, because they did forensic accounting, and they followed the money. So that was like a very traditional accountant in that campaign. And actually, you know what? I've had a number of accountants in spy games that I've run, or people that are good in accounting to trace the money. And in Traveler, there's almost always an accountant. So I definitely have had accountants in my games, for example. Nice, I might have made a pre-gen of one, but I can't remember. Atomica says, you can't increase your driving skill if you've been living on a desert island for a month. Yes. Unless you pulled out a full professor, made a go-kart out of coconuts and palm trees. Yes, right? So basically, I want it to be grounded in the world. And as long as you ground it in the world, that's fine. But to finish the thought, Max Ryder. So you get, on average, depending on how you're pitching the game level, let's say 2 to 3 skill points, character points per session. If you're going for like a cinematic game or you want like high advancement, I suppose you could go 5 or 10, but I tend to stick 2 to 3 with 5 at the end of like a big moment. And for you to get a sense of character points, I'm going to get to this thing here because I did want to tell Atomica this, because that was the whole point why I brought this whole thing up. Skills are the cheapest thing you can get, basically. And the skill level, it's basically four character points per level in a skill, except for the first few levels. Like it's much like it's the way it works is that it's 4 points to increase your skill level, except in the very beginning, because it's much easier to learn something at the very, very beginning, right? So like basically that, like the first level of a skill is 1 point. So GURPS has a table. If you understand what they're saying, it makes a lot of sense, but some people get confused. So level 1, if you have 1 point in a skill, you have the first level. If you have 2 points in a skill, you have the next level. Then it's 4 points, and then after that, you add 4. So then it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, et cetera, right? Which means if you have 1 point at that first level, if you want to go to the next level, you only have to spend 1 more point for a total of 2. If you want to get to the next level, you have to spend 2 points for a total, 2 more points for a total of 4. If you want to get to and then every level after that, you spend 4 more points to go up in level. So, if you're playing and you get 2 to 3 points a session, you can often pick up a brand new skill or 1 or 2 brand new skills, or you can wait a session or 2 to increase one of your pre-existing skills by 1 level, if it's a higher level skill. Then you have got, the other big thing is attributes, your strength, intelligence, dexterity, and health. And it costs 20 points to increase dex or intelligence, IQ, pardon me, and 10 points to increase strength and health. So what this does is that players will often not save up to increase their stats. Sometimes they will. Some players will actually absolutely save up their points to increase their attributes. But many people will not. They want their thing now. They want to increase that gun stat now or whatever it is. Which actually I think is really good because it makes you, it feels more organic that way. But some people will absolutely save up, wait their 10 sessions, 8 to 10 or more sessions to increase their dex some. That's totally fine. How quickly you have to spend XP. We all has XP for making sourdough for reasons, yeah. And it will. You never know. And then, of course, you've got advantages and disadvantages. You do not buy disadvantages after character creation, but you can buy off disadvantages. If you have, for example, if you're poor, if you have the disadvantage poor, and in-game things have happened that means that you are no longer poor, you can buy off that disadvantage. There are people who will say, why should I have to pay character points to buy off the disadvantage if I won the lottery? Like, my character won the lottery, I should just become automatically wealthy now. I shouldn't have to buy off the disadvantage. But the deal is, if you have not paid points for it, then you don't necessarily get to keep it. Most people who win the lottery end up poor again. Right? So they got money, but they didn't get wealth. Those are different concepts, right? So if you spend the character points to buy up your wealth, that means it is now sustainable and long-term. If you get a whole bunch of money, but you do not buy off poor, that means you're not going to have that money long-term. Like, you're going to have that cash now, but it doesn't increase your wealth, right? If you have an enemy and you kill that enemy, that means you can buy off the enemy. If you don't buy off the enemy, you get a new enemy, probably the brother of that person you killed, or whatever. Or it might be, well, actually, if you kill your enemy, depending on the game system, that enemy disadvantage might be replaced with hunted by the police, for example, right? So you have to buy it off. Taxman takes the lottery win either with hook or crook. Yes. And Thomas, like, the same reason I'll always be fat, even if I get down under 190 pounds, I could be skinny as a rail, and in my head, I'd still think like a fat guy, right? So these things matter, right? Because these things are more, yeah. And then also with advantages, you can get an advantage in the game, but if you want to keep it or have it be reliable, then you want to pay points for it, right? You can have a person who's an NPC who's a really good friend of yours, but if you did not take the advantage ally, that means they're not an ally. They're a friend, but who knows for how long? You cannot necessarily, you know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, you might get your advantages, buy off disadvantages, buy new advantages, increase your stats, increase your skills. But I tend to give like a 2 to 3 points per session. You can give more if you want to like really ramp up, but I like the vibe, the way the characters develop when you give them about 2 to 3. They feel very organic and they end up feeling very realistic, even if they have a lot of points. If you give people like, here's 20 points, that's a lot of points. They're going to escalate their characters in ways that may not reflect, an organic expansion. Do you grant extra points if a disadvantages game through roleplay? Usually you don't give them extra. You usually do not give them extra points. That does not tend to be what happens. But at the same time, yeah, usually you don't. Like, if they lose a hand, they just lose a hand. That's how it goes. But what happens is that you adjust their character point value, so you have a sense of where you're at. Yes. I will also note that I do not necessarily, let me put it this way. Let's say they tick somebody off really badly. That may not actually be a disadvantage yet, right? To actually give them the enemy disadvantage, it means it's got to be kind of serious. They must have made a whole bunch of choices to get there before we get there, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah, I can see how it is. But it's in the rules. You're like, look, right? You don't get them back. Yeah. I lost points for this in-game disad, but I don't gain points for well, the thing is, you don't actually lose, but here's the thing, you don't lose points in the same way, in the sense that if you lose your hand in-game, you don't lose points for it. You don't have to give me points back. Yeah, so I think that's the difference, right? That I don't say, well, you lost a limb, so I'm going to take points from you, right? So you don't have I guess you don't have a penalty for that. Yeah. So basically, I think the difference is that you get points, free points during character creation if you take disadvantages, but after that you don't get free points, but you also don't have to give up points. I don't say, well, give me 10 points now for this disad. At that point, it just becomes sort of accounting, I guess. Atomica. What you also need to decide is, so when you look at advantages, right, you've got, let me zoom in here so you can see it. Whoop. Advantages are divided into mental, physical, social, great, but also exotic, supernatural, and mundane. When you're running your campaign, you have to decide and tell your players whether or not exotic and supernatural skills are on the advantages are on this table or not, right? And it says exotic advantages are traits that ordinary humans cannot have without ultra-tech body modification or similar tampering. For example, extra arms or death ray vision. Non-humans will often have exotic advantages on a racial basis, but this does not entitle them to add such traits freely. You need your GM's permission to add exotic traits that do not appear on your racial template, and they've got the little alien sign. And then supernatural advantages are impossible in nature and cannot be justified by science or even super science. They rely on divine intervention, magic, psionics, etc., magery. And so you need to decide for your campaign as a GM, are supernatural and exotic advantages on the table for your players. So decide what your starting point level is, whether or not exotic and supernatural advantages are available to your players, if so, which ones. Those are the things that I would say you would have to decide, like in order of precedence. Point level, whether or not exotic or supernatural advantages, disadvantages are available. And the next thing you decide is, and if so, which ones and under what circumstances. The next thing to decide is which rules are you using? And by that I mean, start basic. Are you using theater of the mind, or are you using sort of basic combat? Or are you using tactical advanced combat? Question one. Are you using the more realistic options or the less realistic options, or the base? I tend to do base. I feel like base is, I don't tend to like use the cinematic unless I'm specifically doing that. But like, if you're like, okay, I want to kind of go for a realistic feel. So no cinematic options, no exotic or supernatural abilities, maybe psionics, you decide. And maybe 150 or 100, 125 skill points. And then from there, tech level, is it tech level 8? And from there, you're pretty solid, actually. You don't have to do too much more than that. And all of that's basically just in the game itself. You just decide, do I want to have, where are you? Boop. That's the big deal. I would say if you're going to put together a GURPS campaign, the main skills you have to do is, in order, power level, whether or not you're going to have a supernatural or exotic advantages, disadvantage skills. Are you going to go for the more cinematic options or not? And then I guess if you wanted to, what I tend to do when I'm making a campaign, a GURPS campaign that's going to be longer, I put up a little document. It's not very long, like a page or two, where I give them some suggested skills, right? Like, hey, in this campaign, you might want to be thinking about vac suit or whatever the case may be, just so they have a little bit of a sense of, if there are any skills that might be useful or helpful, or are mandatory depending. I don't often have mandatory skills, but sometimes I do. Like when I run a Three Musketeers campaign and everyone's a Three Musketeer, then fencing and savoir-faire are required. But are there any required skills? Are there any recommended skills? Are there any banned skills? I think about that and or advantages. Just like, and I can usually do that like in a little half page just to give to the players to let them think about character creation a little bit, just make it a little bit easier for them. I know that some people go through and there's a thing on the Steve Jackson Games website. It's like a browser page, which I'm pretty sure it's there, let's see if I can find it again. It's like a trait sorter where you can basically, it has all of the advantages, disadvantages, and skills, and then you can pick which ones are available. You can basically curate the skill list and cut it down to give your players the list of things to look at that is a much more, a smaller list, because, you know, some people just get freaked out by having choices. I have never felt the need to do that because I just feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. If it is 2020s right now in a realistic world, the players know they just can't take laser gun. Like, I don't feel the need to cut the laser gun, because I just feel like there's a lot of common sense. Like, you just can't take laser gun. Let's move on. You know what I mean? That's all. But like, give them those guidelines, and I find that to be good. And let's see. That might change per game threat. Sure. I want to design the game so that I could run it as the government is hiding a zombie outbreak, while Roller might, I see what you're saying. While Roller might run a game where the government fell and in this pocket government is attempting to consolidate power, while YouTuber might run as there's an alien invasion coming in 2 weeks and they're securing an underground lab. I see. Okay, the game itself, if the game itself would lend mostly to cinematic, then start with 150 points. If you want cinematic average people, give them 150 points, not 75, because 75 is not going to give you a cinematic average person. That will be my next tip. And then decide which cinematic abilities you want to use. For example, you might want... I'm going to give you two thoughts here. And that is, if you give people more points, it'll feel a bit more... You can give people more points and have it feel more cinematic without it feeling hyper cinematic, right? But like, don't use the bleeding rules, right? Just don't use those. You don't need to do it. Don't use the bleeding rules, or just use the base bleeding rules, but not the very deadly, more realistic bleeding rules. Yeah, so there are ways for you to like just tweak with little bits here or there. Again, if you want people to like, my biggest advice for making people feel very hardy is make sure that their health is over 12. If their health is 14, they're very likely to die. Very unlikely to die. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's ways in which you can tweak it while not making it jetpacks yet, but just give them more points. Thank you, Max Ryder. It's going to sound weird, but basically there is a time limit and the game ends with the threat being revealed. The point of the game is the investigation and the discovery or escape. So I would say, so what I'm getting from you is that you actually trying to make you might want to get GURPS Mysteries, which is GURPS Mysteries is one of their genre books, which is about how to run mysteries. So that might be an interesting, if you had some extra cash, you want to pick up the PDF, GURPS Mysteries might be interesting to give you advice and tips on how to do mystery well. GURPS Horrors by Ken Hite, who's always got lots of good advice. Those both are very low crunch books. They're more fluff. They're more advice, a little bit of crunch here or there, but a bit more advice books about how to run the genres. Those might be interesting in terms of like thinking about the mystery before the reveal. But what I'm hearing from you is that you want to run this, you're not creating an adventure that you're running your friends through. What you're wanting to do is create something that other people can also run. So you're wanting to create something that is modular in certain ways for it, like kind of like a Fate of Cthulhu, right? So if you're wanting to build something for other GMs to run that you might, sell one day, that kind of a thing, you would have some slightly different considerations in terms of building in your mind presentation. But I feel like that is probably something to keep in mind. I guess what I would do is, if I were in that situation, I would create modules, right? I would, I don't mean modules like an adventure module. I mean like GM buckets. Like, this is these are the switches if you're going to do conspiracy thriller. Use these rules, these switches. This is what you would do if you want to go sort of gonzo, right? You would sort of like hit these things. And like in this sort of bucket, supernatural exotic advantages are allowed, and you're here. This one, it is less. But I think in order to do that, you're going to just have to run it a bunch of times and see which ones, what kind of tweaks you would make per GM bucket. So like the zombie outbreak one, you're like, okay, zombie outbreak, fewer points, 100, not 150 or 75 for a zombie outbreak, because usually They're a lot weaker in a zombie outbreak, depending on what you're going for. 75 with these things. Firestarter, government conspiracy, psionics are allowed, these many points, right? So you're going to want to, I think, if what you're wanting to do is give this to other people, then you're going to want to, I think, create like little packets, GM, like packets per, like threat packets with different configurations and guidelines. But to do that, you just have to run it a couple of times, I think. Oh my goodness. We just got some gift subs. Prax, thank you for those gift subs. You know what this means. I'm going to sing now. We haven't played yet, but we are going to, I swear, because Prax is here, so now we can. But first I have to sing. You know. Yeah. Atomica buckets. Correct. I do want to run it, but I'm working to build a whole usable system. Yeah, you're going to want buckets. I think, well, you're like, no, I like to make an entrance. Yes. So Atomica, what I would recommend is that you pick up Fate of Cthulhu, is what I would recommend. Because that is one where, like, there are different threats. You, like, when you run Fate of Cthulhu, you pick a different threat, Hastu or you know, Azathoth or whatever the thing might be. And they give you like a different sort of setup for each one. And for your idea that this is like a 10 to 15 session thing where it ends when the whole goal is to figure out what the conspiracy is, and then it ends when you do, I would recommend you check out Fate of Cthulhu for the way that it does modular villains. And I think you should also check out The Zone if you haven't. That's a one-shot, but The Zone over there is about getting to the center to get your wish fulfilled, but the game ends when you get there. So like it's all about the journey to that endpoint. So I would check out for inspiration The Zone, which is body horror, and then Fate of Cthulhu. And then you can use those thoughts to sort of think about how to incorporate some of the techniques they're using in your sort of modular cul-de-sac conspiracy game. That would be my thought. That said, I have another thought. And that thought, which is, I think, very important, is the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B. Then I say the name. Then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a Phi, Phi, and a Mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Shiznitzler, Bo Biznitzler, Banana Fan of Fiznitzler, Phi, Phi, Mo, Miznitzler. Shiznitzler, But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. I like Bob. Bob drop the B's, Bo, Arbor, Fred. Fred drop the F's, Fo, Red. Oh, Mary, Mary drop the M's, Mo, Airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Moswolf. Moswolf, Marbles, Bo, Boswolf, Banana, Fana, for Foswolf, Fee, Fi, Mo, Oswolf. Moswolf, Savina V. Savina V, Bo, Bavina B, Banana Fana, Fo, Favina B, Fee, Fi, Mo, Mavina B. Savina B, Simchick, Bo, Bimchick, Banana Fana, Fo, Fimchick, Fee, Fi, Mo, Mimchick. Simchick, Muse in a bottle. Booze in a bottle, booze in a bottle, banana fana for foos in a bottle, fee, fi, mo, ooze in a bottle. Moose in a bottle. The name game. Woo! Thank you for those gift subs, Prax. Thank you. We were talking GURPS a little bit, but we're on Elboreth. So we want to show the telescope device to our friend Oroy and also avoid our advisor. So that's what we're here for. Booze in a bottle. I think booze should be in a bottle, I guess it could be in a wineskin. Theoretically. Hey, so look, we're playing. we went to the Withering Palace, and it was very, very traumatic. And we are now going to go and show the things we found to our friend. And that's what we're doing. Or in a glass for you to drink, or in a glass. Set boyaki refar. Ooh, cat kiss. Time goes in bottles. Ni huake. I really love the architecture in this world. Just side note. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. I just had questions. This is fine. I'm not even worried about it. So we're here. We're going to wander around a little bit, see what is here to be seen. We haven't done that in a while. I haven't been here in a while. And we have languages to decode and devices to find and people to see. Oroy's yard. Oh. Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll go this way. It'll be fine. We have splines to reticulate. I know that reference. Good faith to you. Good faith. Tread softly. Okay. That's a little weird. That's fine. We're gonna go to Tapi, but we're gonna go to Tapi afterwards, you know. Yeah? How's trade today? We don't like her. Brislin. Yeah, we don't like her. I have concerns and questions, you know, about my robot. I've had enough of this place. Atomica, I think you're going to want to make your first module, run it through with your things, and just note all the little options you've chosen so you can create a little, like, one sheet for the other GMs who'll be looking at your stuff. That is what I would recommend. That's my recommendation. Strike the gong. Bang a gong. Get it on. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see you all here. It makes me very happy. And guess what? This year, 2026, is my 10-year streamiversary in November. Aaliyah, what can I do for you? Crack says, also recommend after you run it through with a group, you find a friend who's a GM and just hand it to them. Let them read through it to see what notes they would say are missing, because odds are you have more in your head than you will actually put down on paper. Absolutely. Still, it's good you're in one piece. Why wouldn't I be? I was listening to a podcast of the ludonarrative dissidents. You don't need to pretend to me, Aaliyah. I know the strain you put on yourself. And I'm fine. And sure you are. Except when you run and start coughing up fluid. Mistress, is there something I should know? It's nothing. Shh. Sure it isn't. Just take care of yourself, all right? Sheer lung doesn't just go away. Apparently I have sheer lung. Apparently. Oh. Oof. So I was listening to the ludonarrative dissidents podcast, and they gave some, because, you know, they're all game designers, right? They did give some really good playtest advice, which was, if you can, and it was what's his face? It was the guy who started Hogsheads Publishing, because he also teaches game design. They said if you're going to playtest, one of the best things you can do is give the game to other people and then watch them play it. Like, you have somebody else GM it. You don't even be a player. You just kind of sit and watch them play. And I know that we don't tend to do that a whole lot with RPGs, but you know what? You actually can, right? Because you can give it to somebody who might stream it and they might do a one shot, and then you can watch the one shot back and see how it goes and get feedback that way. But, you know, have other people run it. I'm going to show her the telescope device. Look at this thing. I found it way out on a moon covered in ancient panels. That's beautiful. Some kind of telescope set up to collect something. It's probably packed with information, and if only you could read it. Can you read it? Well, I shouldn't have thought so. Whatever this thing was recording will be packed, stored. If you knew what it was supposed to be, then maybe you could read it. But you couldn't guess. But still, it's a beautiful piece. I hoped you might look into it further. I don't know what I'd do. Take it to pieces, most likely. The ancients were recording something. Maybe I'll find more like it. I think I pressed the wrong button. Get your robot to chart them. The position of them, that's what matters. Okay, well, let's... I found a site that's too far from the rivers to reach. Further than anywhere I've been. Off the rivers? I need a way to cross it. Direct and to the point. Without the rivers, there's no air to breathe, and the nightingale can only hold so much. Sounds like you need a river then. Even if you could get me some of those gravity crystals, that might get you there faster, but there and back? Before you suffocate? Probably not. I thought maybe you could make me some air tanks? I could fit them to the ship. How many? How much air? Enough for a day? 2 days? How are you going to cross empty space anyway? Rivers don't come and go because you ask them to. But maybe they do. Cosmic climate change. We're not sailing for some rock. It's a place. So maybe there was a river once, but now it's gone. Well, even if that were true, you can't just whistle for it to come back. What even is a river? You've sailed more than me. Where do they come from? Where do they go? Where do they start? Where do they come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Do you know? Some moons have uprivers. The rivers just come out of them. How does that work? Oh, they have well springs? Huh. The water is drawn off into space? By the way, what I think is super interesting is that there's no oxygen in space because they have boats, right? They don't have like a closed environment oxygen wise. They don't have life support. So they can only sail on rivers because apparently the rivers give them oxygen, but once you're off the river, no oxygen. Interesting. Cotton Eye Joe used to be a smuggler. Then he took a draught to the knee. It's true. The rivers flow out of the well springs. Well then, you just need to make a wellspring. Maybe the water goddess will help you do it? Will help you out? They worship the water goddess on Mersey. I was joking, El. By the rivers and dirt, what's wrong with you? You can't make a river any more than you can flip Elboreth onto its back. Even if you could, you couldn't tell it which way to flow. But what if there was a river before? Maybe don't think there's water, but wind, solar wind, this is what I'm saying. A new river might follow the same course. Well, it might, if it starts from the same place. But rivers don't just vanish, and they don't just appear. I'm sorry about your distant star, El. But maybe you're stuck down here with the rest of us. How's business? Not getting any better. But it's not getting any worse. Don't be a stranger, Elias, Elazra. Well, that wasn't great. Also, apparently I have sheer lung, which, you know, seems bad. I've got sheer lung, everybody. I cough up fluids when I run. That seems bad. I have, we've got a pickle. I don't know how we're going to solve this pickle, but we are in a pickle. And I feel like we're going to have to, should we leave now, mistress? I want to pay a visit to Tappy. Very good, mistress. I've got... Ooh, question. How is it possible you remember the Withering Palace? I cannot be sure, mistress. I think I must consider the matter more. Maybe Oroy could help? I do not want your friend poking around inside my core. I'm well aware of what happened to my predecessor in that shop of hers. Would you allow a Merzian pig slaughterer to perform a heart operation on you? Wow. That's not the same. Maybe not for you. I feel like Six was some kind of noble, maybe. Ron Perlman, Ajax. Ajax ever changes. I know we might have to go there, but like, I don't want to. Do you know what state 3 was in when I gave it to Oroy? The thing was catatonic. I had to carry it in. And did your friend repair the robot? No. In that case, I will be quite happy to fail to understand my own mind on my own. I mean, I like my friend. Hey, Artie, how are you? We can get to Tappy's this way. I'm going to go and see Hamlet tonight. I'm very excited about that. I think it starts at 8. So after stream, I'm going to go and like cook some food, I think. And then I'm going to take out trash. I need to do work email first though, but you know. I hope I enjoy Hamlet too. I found that boy of yours living as Timur's house servant, no less. He took a little encouragement to remember the word that had opened it up, but he did. Oh. Tappy, did you hit him? Ham sandwich. Of course I didn't hit him. Hitting children never encourages them to do anything except poke you in the eye. I gave him honey wafers and lemon tea. It would no doubt have gone faster if I'd had some pomelo sack, but I didn't. So, what's the word? So, the word he gave me is now my gift to you. Effarali. Isn't it marvelous? Beautiful. Like the sound of a distant rolling cymbal. Do let me know if you try it. Oh, okay. Let's talk to him. Bird. Listen, Tappy, I want to show you an artifact. Oh, yes? Okay, I'm going to show him the scratched chisel made on a steel Empire site. It's a scratched steel Empire period heavy chisel. I could acquire one just like that in an alleyway, and in one piece, too. You aren't dealing with some gutter rat trader here. Okay. The dented incense burner made on a steel Empire site. It's a dented metal incense burner dating from the Steel Empire. There's nothing special about that. And it might not be broken. Aaliyah, I collect jewelry and gold and unusual things, not rubbish. Interesting to note. How about this pot made on an unknown ancient site? This is an iron pot, dating from the earliest days of the nebula. Not even I could shift that. Don't waste my time. Okay, but I have other things. No more. No, but I have other things. There's more. Let me look another time, when my eyes have recovered. Oh no, I should have shown him the telescope. You only get 3, is what it looks like. By the way, Toppy, I'm not going to be here long. I'm not on Elboreth long. A shame, but understandable enough, I'm sure. I should have shown him the telescope. But see you later, Toppy. Hey, don't get any less marvelous. Now he's Ricardo Montalban in my mind. Shall we leave now, mistress? I want to see the bartender in Elboreth before we leave. I have, like, this terrible feeling that we have to go to Iox. Very well, mistress. And I don't want to go to Iox because I'm afraid of what will happen when we go there. But I feel like we might have to go there, but I don't want to. I'm just telling you my feelings. In case you were curious about my feelings. I don't want to go to Iox and see my advisor. Because I'm afraid my robot's going to tell her all sorts of things I do not want her to know. Like, if she's evil, that's the thing. That holograph said that she was evil. And if she's evil, I do not want my robot to tell her all of the things. That would be bad. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's all. And I know that my robot is going to tell her everything because that's how my robot is. My robot is programmed to do so. And even if my robot doesn't want to tell her everything, my robot's going to have to tell everything. And so I do not want to put my robot in the position to have to tell her everything if she's evil. You can't always you can't always get what you want. Hey, Lone Koo, wie geht's you? Aaliyah. So I'm just a little worried. Oh, Amir. Hello, Lone Koo, wie geht's? It's good to see you. And you? What? Will you be here for long? I always come back. Cello, Chet. That's good. This place hasn't changed while I was dead. It's just as unfriendly. Except for Timor. I'm glad you're safe. If our job was to make dictionary, just don't go near the gate again. To make a dictionary about local patois, I doubt we could afford to give enough waffles and Kool-Aid to Kid to make sure the book is complete. I know. No fear, I won't. I've got errands to run. Good faith. Oh, and lady, remembered what the robot said to the gate before it threw me inside. A Farali came back to me in a dream. What does it mean? Oh, well, I'll see if I can find out. All right. Prax has played this game to the end, knows what's happening. It's not going to say. But don't say it to the gate or it will kill you. Be seeing ya. Good faith to Amir. By the way, it's not going to kill me. He is thriving, mistress. You did well to bring him here. Somehow, I think he would have survived regardless. Who knows where else he might have ended up? Prax may know something, but not everything. Oh. Look, I'm being good. Why are you coming out? No, I'm calling you out for being good is what I'm saying. I'm saying how good you've been. Aaliyah. I will wait here, mistress. Good, I don't want you hearing everything. To go and tell my advisor, which is not what I want. I hate that. I'm calling you out for like your restraint and your discipline. I found a moon pouring in water. Water cascading down a mountain. Water in rivers. Water bubbling in fountains. Ooh, sounds like a paradise. It was a graveyard. Water that comes from the dead is not for drinking, Aaliyah. Bartenders know about this kind of thing. They should make a post for you at the university. I could never leave Elboreth. You know that. So, there was water for the taking, was there? If there was any way to take it. Elboreth must be really, really drought. Every problem is an opportunity, just as every stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. Well, where was it? In Ghost's Wake. But you don't sail, do you? Me? I've a bar to run. You once told me there were 7 gods in the ancient pantheon. I found 6. Did I tell you that? I was probably making it up. I'm sure you did. Well, I think I was told by my grandmother that 7 was a lucky number for the ancients. Or 6 and 1, as she said it. 6 and 1. That's significant. You should relax more. I'm not drinking today. Also, 6 and 1 is very ominous. Well, as you wish. 6 and 1 is very ominous. That means it's like the pantheon for Eberron, right? Like, or actually no, like Game of Thrones, right? You have the stranger, like you have the 7, but then like 1 is the stranger. I'm just saying that that's very ominous. I saw Amir. He looks well. Oh yeah, always charging around the place. He goes up to the cat kiss faster than a shout. He likes running errands. Thanks for taking me in. We're not going to be super suspicious of our old friend, right? Well, I can use an extra pair of hands around here. He's a nice boy. Quiet. Doesn't talk much. He was alone for a long time. It's amazing that you found him, you know. You have a gift, Aaliyah. For lost things. Still quiet. It was a rush yesterday, maybe the day before. I have something for you. A figurine. Oh. It looks like something from the Steel Empire? Oh, and here's an inscription on his head. Hey, our goal for today has been met. We found an inscription. This is the end of a longer line of text. So our life is good because we have found an inscription. Yeah, among us, 6 passengers and 1 trader. Sounds like 6 gods and 1 devil. Well, some of our isles had fertility goddesses with 16 teats. That is what Varys said. Varys says many things, and Varys would never fool you. So I think this is Serpent. And we have, let's see. I think that there are some things we probably cannot do yet because we don't have the, I don't think we have all of the words found yet, but I do think, yeah, we don't have everything, but I think this might be from. Interesting that we have from and for. Take a look at those 2 words, everybody. From and for are the same, except that from has a cancellation on it. So for is apostrophe and then like movement and then from or okay, I'm gonna ponder this a little bit more, just what that might mean. This doesn't feel right. I know it doesn't. We're gonna go back to Serpent. And we will put from in there because I do think that feels like from to me. And I guess we'll have to put this in here, but I don't think we have the words, all the words yet. This doesn't feel right. I know. Again, we're gonna do this one because I really want to confirm that, and then we're gonna do from. Oh, we have a 4 here. Serpent, deity known as mud, is from ground or earth. We can add, we have now confirmed serpent. We've confirmed serpent, everyone. So, serpent, something from something. Serpent, this is one of like our movement things. So, it's a verb, I think moves. Serpent moves from something for something. There's also toward, so it makes sense that it's not toward. Yes, that's right. So serpent moves from something for something. We know that the little, it's like maybe a pronoun, so moves from, this is either it or one. I think serpent moves from, I think it's not death or only, I don't think. I think it's either one to another. Yeah, I think so, Roller. So one, serpent moves from one for, so you, so that you with a slash up on it is for other, right? So we've got like person. So I suppose it could be itself, maybe. But again, we've got the kind of you. So maybe it's itself because it's becoming an object. So like maybe the slash makes it an object rather than a subject, which would then mean that like you self could be itself. Maybe. Serpent moves from one for itself. That will do for now. Yeah. Makes you think it goes back and forth, maybe? This comes from the same place as the pick and the devotional icon I found here before, I think. It must have been frequent travel between these two sites. This will make the Steel Empire site easier to locate. You don't want to keep it? We'll come back to that. Well, I don't know what it's worth, I'm sure. But if you keep buying drinks here, well, that I can put number 2. Yeah, but you keep giving me drinks for free. You know what I'm saying? All right. Ouroboros thing. Mud goes around and comes around. Yes, like the Ouroboros. I think I kind of feel not bad about the itself. Be seeing you, Timor. Well, don't be a stranger. I feel like the stranger is the last god. Come on, 6. Everybody, I don't want to tell you this, but I have concerns. We have one new artifact to consider. Shall we leave now, mistress? Not just yet. Maybe he is keeping a tab. But where are we going? Have we ever gone this way before? Ooh. Okay. This is what I want to do. I want to do an experiment. I want to go to the gate, and I want to try the new term that we have and see what it does for us. It should theoretically take us back to where we found the guy, but Set Boyaki Rifar. Oh, Set Boyaki Rifar. Let's try it. Ifarali. Set Ifarali. Set Boyaki Kat Ifar. It works. Maybe it works. But what now? It is asking where you would like to go. Oh, if we are the one, we had 6 wobots. 6 is the last of the set. Ooh. Okay, we're going to go to Iox. Ajax. I don't want to go to Ajax. Silen ang. Set Bayaki kat ifar. Okay. Merci? Silen ang. Most likely, Merci has an original name, mistress, now lost. Set Bayaki kat ifar. The robot that sent Amir away must have said something else, I suppose. But I don't even want to go back to that moon. All the names it knows are ancient. And the only old name I know is Elboreth, which isn't much use. Although, I wonder what the robot said to make the gate hopper the boy away. Some kind of ancient instruction? The place we found him must have been quite exclusive once. Okay, this is really interesting because we have teleportation. Set Boyaki Rifar. Ifarali. Set Ifarali. Set Boyaki Kat Ifar. But I still can't think of what to say next. Perhaps it can't take me anywhere. It can. It definitely can. We just don't have the language yet. We need to find more words. And then we can do it. So let's get back to the Nightingale. Very good, mistress. So we're going to leave the moon, everyone. This way, mistress. And so we left the surface of Elboreth. Oh. We have an update. Something's happening, and I don't know what. Oh, yeah, I know. Tell me, brew more juice and bake more cakes. We need words. So, hi. Let's talk about this for a moment, all of us together. You know, as a group. And let's talk about my friend, the mechanist, Oroi, lives in the Citadel in Elboreth. She might be able to help uncover the secrets of the Withering Palace that has triggered inside Six's code. I know, but I think we have to go back. So here's where it is. There's this ancient site. We found artifacts leading back to a distant site. The site was old, but what is it? I don't know enough to find this site yet. We're gonna do a thing together where we look at all the places. Renaki is the market moon where I left Yazi and Sia, and then met Amadou, the dealer in servos. I could tell up the servos we found under the Withering Palace. Oh, hey, that's like a opportunity to avoid meeting my advisor. Airless moon. The moon Renba died on. We do not know where this observatory is. Six has triangulated the network of telescopes. We've pinpointed a location in the cloudy, murky reaches of the distant nebula. Is this great distance the darkness that Renba's ghost had seen? An old compass seemed to point this direction, as though it had once been set to sail here, and we'd found a heavily scratched, robust rock hammer and a dented iron lamp that somehow crossed the gulf of space we found, but without a river to sail on. The journey to the site is impossible. I know enough to find this site now. I just can't get there. Here's another unknown site. Six believe this region to be where the curious altarpiece came from. The other artifact I found from this area is one of the oldest I've ever seen. But this was a place I had an idea. I just don't know enough to find the site yet. How about this one? These statues of ancient gods were all sculpted here, then dragged down the rivers to where they now stand. Perhaps the sculptors were near Rimbaud's rocky moon, from where the stone had been quarried. We found 4 artifacts from the ruins in this place. Perhaps people from here dug up the robots under the dais of the gods, and in the Withering Palace we'd found evidence that the mineworkers had broken their way inside and freed the robots and kept there. Why was a mystery, but one might be able to solve it. And Six has traced some mining tools and mining cart found at Riga's dig site too. I know enough to find this site. I would like to get here. Can we do that? You know, before we do, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just, we could go to Renaki, because we might learn something there. Mersey, I don't know if we're going to get anything from Mersey at the moment. We found nothing but a curious crystal shard, but I later returned a statue to them I found ruined in a hermitage. I missed the place. They are soft and scented. If there was any reason to return, I would, but you're telling us that there is not. An ancient crater built into the moon and rich in eye-like crystals with a strange property of warping gravity. Had once been a docking station. The trader from Renki Amadu just told me there were quarters filled with machines here. He'd lied or been mistaken. Or not. The site of the withering palace. Here emperors and their loved ones came to die. Beneath a dais ringed with ancient gods, robots had been sealed away. The miners had dug them free. I thought I'd still seen some down there endlessly rolling up and down the shadowy ramps. Above the dais was a mysterious operite and an ancient altarpiece that triggered ancient memories in 6. Let's not note, let's just kind of, again, I know what you're saying. Moon close to Elboreth, where Rembrandt found the remains of a gigantic ship. That was made of a telescope that led him to the hermitage on the moon near Mersey. Been led there by Yazia, a worker entering the site, and we met Sia, who'd been stranded there by Renba. We took them to Renaki. By now, they're both likely living in royalty, I should think. But how did Janicki find the ship in the first place? The Emperor's graveyard moon, where we'd spoken to Kaya, the voice inside the figurine we'd found on the hideout moon. It had been lush with plants, waterfalls, and tombs. Got no reason to go back. And the last one, we found a decaying mark on a distant moon that had once been connected to Elboreth, but had not been empty. A boy had been living here, barely surviving for nearly a year. We take him to Elboreth for Timor to look after. So here's the thing, everybody. Of the places we have, and there's Iox, okay, I'll do it, I'll look. Professor Mayari will want to know what happened to Janicki, but I don't know how she'll take it. Also, we don't know what happened to him. Of course, I should show her the crown. I could go there next. You could. But we're going to go to Renaki and talk to that guy, because, you know, let's go to Renaki. Can we just do that? Can we go to Renaki? Because I feel like that's Renaki? I don't know if they're going to let us fly there. Oh, are we actually? Hold on. Let me exit. We're not in our ship yet. Obviously, that's why. Okay. So, of all the places we've already been, by the way, I'm going to go to 3:30. Or board the Nightingale. We returned to the ship and sprang up into the water. We should sail to Iox and tell Mayari what we've seen, should we? I'm sure she wants to stick around. I'm sure she does. Sure she does. I am going to go to Renaki because I don't think we'll have much to do there. I think they'll be pretty chill. And, you know. Professor Renba is pining for the fjords. Shuffled off this world court, died. No. Just. If the ship is rocky, please don't Renaki. Where are we going? Okay. We are not going to Iox. Look how it says, like, go to Iox, do it. We're not going to do that. We could go to Renaki. Let's go to Renaki. Let's do that. Although I think maybe we can't go to Renaki. Maybe we can't. Unless I forgot the commands. I think we can't go to Renaki. But, like, you know, I think this Steel Empire site is where we're going to go. And I understand that Iox is right there, but I just don't want my robot telling her everything. That is just how it is. It's just what I'm trying to tell you. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'll have some sweet tea. I know I should. I understand that. I do understand that I do need to go there, but I want to find out more about Janicki and whether or not my advisor is evil. Either of the branches lead to our destination, mistress. Okay. Cool. Let's go this way then. Yeah, I just, like, and maybe my advisor is not evil, but I do have concerns. A moon of sculptors. I don't know what to expect. I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm just... Towering statues? There we go. We are... Perhaps we'll find the full version of those feet on Elboreth. Aki and Renaki had tribal skirmish. What settlement got rebuilt? Perhaps the statue was entirely a pair of feet. I think that was 6. I'm not passing control to 6 because I'm hoping we can maybe find a random site, and that would be kind of cool. Because we do like... I gotta tell you, the haptics of this game are quite good. And I just... Also, I think this would be a really interesting setting for a tabletop RPG. But I need to finish this game. There are unknown rivers to the right. Let's do that. But I think they might head towards our target. Sure. Let's do that then. Perhaps we might explore? I hope so. I want to maybe find something interesting. That would be cool. But if you try sometimes... Hey, is that Freedom Rock, man? Turn it up, man. Sorry. Oh, I was thinking about something. Either route continues to our destination, mistress. Cool. I was thinking about, an ad. A jingle. And I don't know how many of you remember this jingle. Because, I remember it. And I had to show it to some people. And maybe you also remember it. It goes like this. Hawkeye remembers it. But it goes, I think, anyway, it goes like this. I wanna pop. I wanna... Some say.
The rivers
What?
have a source.
I have to sing.
A single wellspring where they all begin. People love tidy explanations for things.
So, she interrupted me because she didn't want me to sing, but I will sing. It goes like this. I wanna pop, pop, pop. I wanna... Mistress, there's another airless ruin some distance away on the left. Well, okay. Well, we will... I see it. We will... Yes, the jingle. We're going to go to that ruin, and we're going to find some stuff which we can maybe trade to Toppy. Okay, so it goes, I wanna pop, pop, I wanna Shasta. I wanna taste pizzazz, all that great taste Shasta has. I wanna pop, 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 I wanna Shasta. I wanna taste, I wanna now, I want it all, I want it now. I wanna taste, I wanna wow. I wanna pop. Human blood? There's some blood on it. Indeed, mistress. It is Ioxian blood. You can tell where the blood comes from? Got a knife. Only blood from Iox. Evidently, it is a particularly insular community. The maker didn't include an inscription. On his hills. I think it's from the place we're after. We must be near. This should make finding the exact spot we're currently hunting easier to find. Oh, look, there's a place up there that we passed by. Found a knife. Yep, there's a place up there that I wish we could have gone there. We missed a location, a locale. That's all right. By the way, this is where we're at. We're going to, we missed a spot. I'm so sad. So sad about it. I doubt we have Shasta too. That makes me really sad. There was a site that we missed, and I'm sad about it. You know what? It just occurred to me that this sort of mistress, some distance away up ahead on the left, a ruin of some kind. Ooh, okay. This actually reminds me of a roller coaster. The way that these rivers are built reminds me of a roller coaster, like, you know, the kind of spirally one. If there's blood, there might be a free Ioxian corpse. That'd be nice. This ruin appears to date from the Steel Empire, mistress. I will investigate, mistress. Oh, I love Shasta Reaper. Oh, yeah. Work for a broken serpent model. I wonder how long it's been out here. The maker didn't include an inscription on his back. I think it originates from the same place we're after. We must be getting close. Ooh, This will make the site we're hunting easier to locate. This is fascinating because we're not getting a lot of text. You know, artifacts, but no text. Interesting. Interesting. Why? I think they still make Shasta. I'm pretty sure they still make Shasta, right? Yes. 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 Because I feel like you can still get like a Shasta grape, Orange Crush. Yeah, they still make Shasta. I mean, ooh, hey, we're going fast. Hold on. Ooh, by all the waters. Oh, okay, hold on. This is very much like a roller coaster, I think. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. You get. My findings suggest the Steel Empire site is somewhere nearby. Okay. This way. This way. It's regional, huh? Shasta is a mountain. It was, you know, it started off as regional. It was a California soda, and then it became a Western soda, and then I think it became national. But I imagine it must be regional again. But which region? We're going to explore, and I know there are some really obvious places we could go and explore, like, for example, right there. But I would really like to... the waters to the left will continue our search, mistress. Thank you. I want to try to get as much around this space as possible, because even though there is, like, clearly the one... we will have to sail on to resume the search. Ooh, okay. You said to the left. Feels good to be back on a real river again. Right, but you said to the left. You said to the left. What I was going to tell you was... let's get up here. Because I find that, like, you go find that site, and then they often don't want you to go back there again. But there are often, like, little subsidiary sites where you can find things. Takes the next right up ahead, mistress. I will. Shasta is a mountain arty snack, and I actually lived on Mount Shasta for a while when I was a kid. Little town. Look, we're finding stuff. Yeah, Shasta was never available here, I don't think. I would guess it dates from the Steel Empire, mistress. Wait, mistress, I found a ceremonial knife. That's 2. Just floating out there? It doesn't have any etched symbols on the back of the blade. I'd say this was made on the site. This is a lot of knives. Okay. A lot of knives. We're back within our search zone, mistress. Yeah. Let's go this way, I guess. It would seem we have not been down either of these paths before, mistress. Well, I don't know if that's true, but... cuts like a knife! It feels so right. You know... that Shasta jingle was really good. Let's go this way, I guess. I hope we find more things. I would like to get more inscriptions. Is what I'd like. Also, we probably should... Sailing cannibals had nothing... Sailing cannibals? We should talk to Lindy. Lindy loves cannibalism. In games, not in real life. But, you know. All right, y'all, I have to tell you, I've got to cook, and I've got to do a bunch of school stuff today. And a bunch of catching up on... a bunch of catching up on schoolwork, because we have been this way before, mistress. Okay, sure. Did we go in a circle? I believe last time we went right. Okay. Okay. Well, not in real life, as far as we know. The water droplets are leading us left here. Okay. She drives me crazy. Ooh, ooh. I don't know if this is... okay, well, I mean... look, I thought we should have gone to the right, but it says we should go to the left. I just don't think I should listen to 6. I think that 6 is giving me bad directions. This is what I'm trying to tell you, because I knew that we should have gone to the right, and 6 said we should go to the left, and we're going to the wrong way. This is what I'm saying. Look, now we're heading back out. I don't think that 6 wants me to go to this site. I think I should ignore 6 from now on. Hold on, let's see. We are here. I'm going to want to turn left. Is what I'm going to want to do, because 6 has steered me the wrong way. She drives me crazy. I haven't thought about them for a while. We are going in circles, mistress. Yes, because you keep giving me bad directions. You know what I'm going to do? How about if we go... I'm going to go forward and then to the left. Oh, I don't think we can, because I think the river's... Okay, so I think we're going to go back to the left. We're not going to listen to what 6 has to say, because 6 is using Gen AI. Last time, we went right. Uh-huh. Sure. Okay, we're going to want to go right. Don't listen to 6. Just don't do it. Do not listen to what 6 has to say. We are going in... How about you let me steer? How about if I stop listening to you, 6, and we go this way? How about that? Last time, we went left. So we should be right. This is where the site is, it looks like. I think we're going to have to go down and around is what I think we're going to have to do. We're going to be very careful here with our turns, because 6 is not helpful. How many times are sailors allowed to make turns on a roundabout before others tell them the tale? So we are very... Okay, so we're going to continue going up. We want to sort of hang to the right, I think, and I think that will get us there. I think I know how we're going. Do not turn right, mistress. What do you mean, do not turn right? No. He's lying to me right now. He is lying to me, and I'm going to tell you, we are not listening to him. He is lying to me. Don't listen to him. He's absolutely lying to me right now, and I'm not going to listen to him. He's giving me wrong directions. He's giving me wrong directions. Turn left. Here to continue. No, I need to turn right. No. Don't. He is lying to me. He's lying to me, everybody. He is lying to me, and I want you to know that I know it. I see him. Do you see him? Did you see him? He's lying to me. This game is brilliant. Because you know how there's something up ahead. There's space enough to land. You know how games will give you like a helpful friend? I like that my helpful friend is lying to me. I appreciate that in the game. Wrong directions. Best performing Merzian punk band. Yeah. Steel Empire site. Is this where the ancients carved their statues? Folks.
Sometimes when you find a place, you find it overflowing with humanity, with life, with joy, with family, with struggle. Flames that burn so brightly,
Ooh.
they can still be seen as dancing shadows. Hundreds, thousands of years later.
Wow. So we're getting a lot of artifacts?
And then other places are not like that.
Do you mean this place? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're saying? So, I don't... This moon is barely habitable, mistress. It seems unlikely it was ever occupied. I don't... Perhaps something happened... It's a ship. What could have happened to this, mistress? The soil here is rock dust. The air is no more than backwash. Nothing has ever grown here. I don't think I can trust... Ever since he got his memories unlocked, I just don't think I can trust 6 at all. I've never had a whole bunch of trust for 6, but now I have less trust for 6. I'm just letting you know how I feel. Oh. What is this place? He's not going to answer. We've got tracks, and we have an opening. My friends, We have something. Houston? An overturned cart. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just like the one on the dig site where we met Sia. Oh, there's an inscription. People, I've got a lot of, like, just above the dust. Tension, but, oh, this is upside down. These symbols look new to me. Mistress, the cart is upside down? Right, of course. I mean, I know, I'm just like, look, I don't want, So, free, maybe, and I think what we have, I think this is, robots are free. I'm convinced my translation for free is right now. And then, I think these are robots. Slaves? Slaves. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think this is slaves because it's got like the symbol for robot, but also person on it. So I think slaves are free, I think. Slaves are free? I think there have always been slaves in the nebula. One way or another. Indeed. I have a lot of, low-key concerns, and I just want you all to know it. There's something here. A hefty axe? Dating from the earliest days of the nebula. No inscription on the head. We're getting a lot of artifacts, though. This comes from the same source as the pot. The one we discovered on Renba's dig site. This should help us locate the site. Chop, 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 chop. So, you know, here's my vibe. The vibe I'm getting is badness, ominousness. I feel like I've got a helpful robot who might try to kill me. I wonder how many people it took to carve one statue. One artist working alone for years, or an army of workers? Either way, there must have been people working here for long stretches of time. Tax collector approaches. But why would anyone live here? This place is terrible. Just to work? How did anyone live here? There's nothing. Well, we have an axe and many knives to stop 6. I don't know if... No water, nothing. I don't know if that'll help. A metal rail. A track. Were they quarrying? Mining? Or just carrying away the spare rock from the carvings? An opening. Leading down. And, of course, you intend to go in. Well, I thought this place was used by sculptors. I was expecting an artist commune, not whatever this is. Which means you do have to go down there. Yeah, we have to go down there. I just don't know if knives and an axe will stop 6. I feel like 6 is just like one memory unlock away from becoming a murder robot. It will be dark down there, mistress. Try not to trip over your feet. He's so passive-aggressive.
As we entered the tunnel.
Prax, I'm keeping my mouth shut. He's passive-aggressive. I'm worried he's going to become aggressive-aggressive. It opens up ahead.
The air
Indeed,
was
mistress.
cold and smelled of rust.
I like this voice actor. And look, I have a feeling that, like, my current guess is that 6 was some sort of noble, maybe an emperor, who was forced into this body. Stay close. Yes, mistress. And that's why he's so classist, but, you know, I'm still working on it. Okay, we're in some...
Then we came out into a wide open space.
Oh.
Through all the murky dark. I could make out shapes, clinging like spiders to the rock.
Metaphor? Metaphor? Okay, so Current guess, this was a place where people had been enslaved. I do not like it here, mistress. You don't like a lot of things. But they had an uprising, and then they just made this place their home, maybe? Could be a possibility. There are houses up here, but let's see, surely Six doesn't plot an Ioxian Skynet uprising. I hope not. Mistress, the chasm in the rock appears extremely deep. Proceed with caution. I haven't seen construction like this before. Maybe in the docking crater moon? This site is older than the Empire, mistress. Older than Iox, at least. How can you tell? The materials and joinery appear complex. Metal interlaced with stone and clay. Significant engineering skills must have been lost. We knew knowledge had been lost. I mean, look at you. But I do wonder where it all went. It's more bad, is what I'm guessing. Oh, I can clamber across this cart. Let's not do that yet. Let's not clamber across any carts just yet. Let's take care of what's on this side of the chasm. Crates. If we could open these, it might tell us what this place was for. But they're nailed shut. You don't have like a crowbar? It's hard to imagine how this was built. This place must have been quite an operation in its time. All this for statues? We're missing something. So, I've got a lot of questions, and these questions are... Oh, symbols. Strong and... Have fun with linguistics. I'll talk to you later. What are you up to, Prax? What are you up to? I know one of these words. I can guess the others, but they've got several elements in common. Where are you going? What are you doing? Strong and... So I think this is strong. We poke the cart, the six say, fool of a took. So I think this is strong. And so the mountain, so we've got rock, right? Which is this little symbol, which I think is our noun, plus like our kind of like mountain thing, plus the end of it. So this is now, we've got this other little symbol, which is probably firm, strong and firm, which would make, firm is an adjective, right? So I think what we have are the little comma with the dot are adjectives. The big comma is a noun. Lewd. Hard. That lewdness just didn't end. So I think we've got adjectives and nouns and verbs. Does strong and firm work? I think it does. Everybody, the cheat is to the limit. Ramps. Huh. You noticed? Of course I noticed. Ramps means robots. Did robots break into the ruined palace we visited before? It doesn't have to mean robots. Could be other people. Robots do not use hand tools, mistress, for the obvious reason. Don't have hands? Any chance there are still some robots here? We could ask them what they were doing. There's every chance, mistress. I was buried on Ajax for some considerable time, and it did not impair my functionality. A doorway. Control room? Huh. Are you... I'm having feelings. Okay. Control panels. Positioned with a view out over the walkways. It's like a moat. We've seen this design before. These are for robots. Any inscriptions? None. I would have expected something. No doubt whoever used this panel knew what it was, mistress. Well, let's try turning it on. See what happens. See if it still works. And if it does, and it causes this chamber to collapse, he's such a Debbie Downer. Who would make a control panel like that, Six? Come on. A mining operation reliant on explosive charges? If that happens, you can hopper us out. Assuming the rubble does not block the line of sight required. Just do it, Six. I'm really... Mistress. Very well, Mistress. Like, I have to rely on this robot to do things, and the robot does not want to do things. Let me see. I don't like any of this. Yes, I comprehend. What? What? What's happening? Oh. Yes, of course. Oh. Oh. The control requires me to stay in proximity to it, Mistress. Otherwise, it will reset. Why? Why would a robot need to guard a bridge control like that? It is not tiring, thankfully. This one's been broken open. The writing's been ripped out. The wiring's been ripped out. Why would someone do that? To make it work, or to stop it from working? To make it work or to stop it from working? Yeah, so I am going to explore. I'll be right back. So we've got a little bit of time still. It's exactly like the turret we saw before. On the docking crater moon. It must be from a similar period. It seems robots get everywhere. It does suggest there was once a lot more of us. It does suggest there was a lot more of us once. But that is natural, I suppose. Is it? What did you mean, natural? Robots can only be lost, as you have lost several. I don't like this. Yeah, you don't rip the wires out trying to make it work. You don't. Hey, you stay here while I find out stuff so you cannot tell, you know, my advisor. Mistress, you have returned. Yeah, I have. No. Don't change it. That wasn't what I wanted. Ooh. Did I tell you to release that? I assumed, since you were here. Yeah, but no, though, actually. That actually is not the case. I would like you to put it back. Can you put it back? Oh, I don't like that at all. Oh, no. I don't like that in the least bit. Please, do not go up exploring again. Actually, I need you to go back. I want... Ooh. Bring the walkway up again, Six. This is the best. I like this very much. It reminds me of a game that I made. And some thoughts, a video game. And some thoughts, visual novel. Some thoughts I've been having about game design. So this is very much up my jam. It's up my alley. Yeah, I'm gonna go and see what is here. And I just... Ooh. Another inscription. Wait. Does this look familiar? Nebula, blah, blah, you provide? Okay. Nebula? So this is verb flow. So like, this is related to cup and drown. So this could be drinks. Nebula, drinks. So this is related to life, but life and flow. So let's say blood. Blood. Nebula drinks blood you provide. Nebula drinks blood you provide? What was this place? A mine for some kind of core resource? How are you feeling? Almost closed. I bet that Kenwells wrote that phrase, but stuck on something. Don't get your hand chopped off. A shattered goddess of water statuette carved from stone. I would estimate it dates back from ancient times. Her arm looks like it's inscribed. Okay, this is the water goddess. Okay, water goddess. This is one end of a fractured fragment of text. Water goddess. So we have star, but this is a compound word. And we have lose. And we also have do not. Do not lose star something. Starlight, star, shine, star. I've done something wrong. It's because we don't have the words we need. That's the problem, right? That we don't have the... We do not have all of the things we need. So let's go... It'll give us something. Do not lose something. Hey, how are you doing? What's been going on? I think do not must be right. Yes. Oh, I don't lose a hand. Lose. Look, we are confirming words. Oh, you just finished your Streets and Oaths. Well, tell us about it. Tell us how it went. Do not lose. Okay, so this is a compound word, right? And this is related to sleep. It's almost exactly the same as sleep, but sleep is a verb, and this is the non-verb version of this. So hope, I feel like, is probably the best thing we have. Yeah, hope. It was set in a treetop city named Arborwind, inhabited by birdfolk. Well, I'm sure they were lovely. I imagine everything's going very cozily over there in the Season's Oath. I hope everyone's having lovely, cozy times. I hope so. Do not lose hope. This comes from the same source as the axe I found here earlier, I think. This should help us locate the unknown, extremely ancient site. How wholesome is your game going, by the way? I hope everybody's having, like, good, lovely, wholesome times. You should tell me. Tell me. Hector, tell me. You don't have to tell me. You can do whatever you want. I'm not the boss of you. But, I'd still like to know. There's a huge market, a wood-carving woodpecker, an owl fortune teller, and critters having memories mystically restored. It's the wholesome versus trauma healing and magic. Ancient 1. Stars do not lose hope. Ancient 2. Stars doesn't lose hope. Got it. Yep. Pope.
Once, I'd found a hangar underground on Elboreth.
I hope these things were soundly built. Ooh. 6! I hear you, mistress. Really, I feel like with Wanderhome, I feel like one of the best things to do is just to make people who have not been impacted by trauma, people who are either too young to have trauma or people who are not impacted by it, so you can just have like a very cozy wandering around, because then you can go, because like all the communities are full of good people, like there are no bad people in the world of Wanderhome. So if you play somebody who doesn't have trauma, then you can wander around and like just have a lovely kind of cozy, like you can just have like lovely tea parties and like just have just coziness, like a cozy slice of life, hanging out, just, it's like just wandering around, seeing the beauty in the world, and being like, what a beautiful place. And then, doing your thing. Storerooms? Barracks? And then scaffolding. Used to winch things up from further down? To be loaded onto the carts and carried outside. Tell 6. Lower the walkway again, 6. Thank you, 315. Woo. It was all the coziness of a shopping episode mixed with the revealing folks' backstories. Oh, see, that's lovely. I still cannot reach you, mistress. The iron cart has moved. But there is a gap. I cannot jump. It's okay. Can't you hop over the gap? Is there an eye? I cannot hopper without an eye. I am not magical. Okay. Just don't look down, Aaliyah. This isn't Elboreth. There's no tent canvas to catch you down there. You know what? You know what? He can just hang out. Perfect. Everyone, we're going to go see these barracks. It's going to be great. Mistress, come back. No. I'm going to explore without you. Just in case.
A narrow shelf of rock jutting from the chasm wall.
I think we're going to be able to... I think we might be able to complete this area.
Grey buildings watched me with empty eyes.
If I ever play Wanderhome again, I'm going to play somebody completely untraumatized who is just a happy person who loves life. This is definitely a mine. Overseen by robots, but worked by hand? So much for your precious ethical core, 6. Robots can't have worked a mine. There must have been people doing that. While robots oversaw it? Well, overseers don't necessarily mean masters, you know? Overseers don't necessarily mean masters. So, we do need to note that one. There could be, like, human masters who use the robots to oppress other humans. Cloth. Beds. There must have been whole families down here. I suppose it was obvious there were people here. What would robots do with all this? They're masters, after all. No, I don't... No, overseers are not masters. You're making an assumption. Overseers are not the same thing as masters. Overseers are all... Yeah, so just watch your assumptions. There is something over here we can look at. We're going to do a full 360, by the way. Ooh, JK. So truly a fantasy here, then. I mean, look, the character, the setting is full of... There are no bad people in the setting at all, right? Cuddles was surprised, to be honest. I thought you were going to play the veteran playbook and dispense all kinds of wisdom about the reality of war. No. But assumptions are what they are. No, I mean, you were going for... Here's the thing. Kama, you said you wanted something, like, wholesome and uplifting, so I'm not going to play a veteran. I'm going to play the most wholesome thing I can find. You know what I mean? I'm not going to mess the vibe. What is this place? A stone shrine. Like the ones in the Emperor's graveyard. Grave. Or a grave marker, anyway. This is a memorial to those that died. Hundreds of people. There's an inscription. Symbols precisely cut into the stone. Such delicate work. Okay. This one is several words. Or this is going to be a big one. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because again, you know, like, the vibe was, like, we had there was, like, a wholesome vibe for Wanderhome, and that, I mean, the book has got that vibe, so I didn't want to do anything that would, like, break the wholesome vibe, really. They could be, though. Robots were masters, and then the human slaves rose up and overthrew and enslaved the robots? Maybe. Got some great feedback from a fellow AP performer, Nate, about how good Root is. Yeah, that Root is one of the many... there's just so many games where you just play as anthropomorphic animals. I think I've played Root, actually. People keep inviting me to play wholesome games where I play an animal. I've certainly played Root. I've played Wanderhome. I've played Mouse Guard. I've played... Yeah, I just keep getting invited into wholesome games where you play animals. I don't know why. But it is. That's what it is. I cannot tell you why it is, but it is what it is. People like me. I guess people like me being an anthropomorphic wholesome animal. Let's see. Table story and... Oh, sorry. Okay, then that's another one. So I've played Root, Mouse Guard, Wanderhome, Tidal Blades. Yeah, I've played a lot of... wholesome anthropomorphic animals, because kind of cozy games are kind of just feel like the thing with the younger gens. So I'm coming to a more war-driven story using Root. Huh. Yeah, because I was an animal there too. Yeah. Although Fomori is really cool and is an OSR, I think, where you play animal folk who live underground. If I were ever to run an animal-themed game where anthropomorphic, I think I would do Watership Down. But I could not invite the people who play anthropomorphic games because I do not think they'd want to be in a Watership Down game. Let's see, what do we have here? We've got no more. Okay, we've got stops. I wouldn't call Tidal Blades cozy. Well, it's on the cozier end, Artie, because again, it's like post-capitalist sort of. It's like the overt is that it's a utopia. The game designers are like, it's not really a utopia, but like it's the above ground is that it's a utopia. There's like sketchiness behind the scenes, but you could certainly run it ignoring the behind the scenes part and just sort of be utopic about it. You could do. Fomoria's epic folk horror. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna go and take this copy link address. I'll add up a new tab. Okay. It's an OSR game. Okay. I think I cried during every episode of Tidal Blade, but that's us. The Table Story crew does like to bring the catharsis, I guess is the best way to put it. We do enjoy our catharsis quite a bit. That is a thing about us. We do like a catharsis. Let's do that. And then let's do... What do we have? What else can we do? Guess we can do this. The art is incredible. Yeah, Tidal Blades is a huge influence artistically on a season. Is it really? Oh, interesting. I thought it was basically... Because, I just assumed that Jade Dragon has, did most of that on their own. No good. I'd have to try to start again. Let's see. All right. Okay. Yeah, I watched Tidal Blades and was... Oh. For you. I see. I thought you meant it was an inspiration for Jade Dragon, which would have surprised me. Yes. Oh, see, I would... Tidal Blades gave a very different sort of setup than Wanderhome does. So I would the character I made in Tidal Blades I never would have made in Wanderhome because it's a completely different setup for what the game is like and how we're supposed to imagine the people in that world being. You know what I mean? Let's grab this here. Let's grab... I can't put... I can put this here. What else can I do? I can put... I don't have any more of the circle things to do. Can you have 11 character sheets in Wanderhome? Ha! Maybe. Yeah, no, there's such... I mean, the systems are so different. I mean, for me, I am very much a system does matter type of person, in the sense that the system that I'm giving really impacts what kind of character I conceive of making. There are characters that I just would never make in System A, but I would make in System B, even if the setting were the same, but the settings are also quite different. Let's see what we have. Let's grab this. Oh, in Wanderhome, I would say you probably... I'm also sure of Go. I don't think you would have 11 character sheets in the way that you would, the way that we did it, but instead you would just keep changing your character, because in Wanderhome, basically, your most powerful move is going to retire your character. So you would probably... And you always have the option to just retire your character. So I imagine that it's kind of like a revolving door of characters if you want to. So I would imagine that in Wanderhome, you would have 11 character sheets, but it's because you've burned through your characters. Like you're like, play a character, make the move, get rid of your character, make a new character, get rid of your character, make a new character. I feel like that's how that would go. I have multiple players who have expanded their character via changing playbooks. Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. change your, yeah, you just, let's see. So this is time and question. So this would be when. When the heart stops something, when heart stops something may go something. When heart stops. So this is, we've got book, bless of, and that is a person. So when heart stops mind, I think. Book, the book of a person would be a mind. So I think that's mind or head. When heart stops head, may go of up, may go when heart stops mind, when heart stops mind may go, no, when heart stops, mind may go, okay, so here's the way to think about this, right? Now, so far, folks have only mixed 2 playbooks. So here's what I'm thinking. We know the line with the little circle is like up, is upwards. We also know that the apostrophe is possessive. I feel like it's away. You know? Trooper was the first, actually, when they went from Dreamer to Moth Tender. Yeah, I mean, because it was basically, it was a character death, is what I did. What I did, because the game is really, yeah. I gave myself a character death while keeping the character alive, if that makes any sense. Away. I think it's away because that feels like maybe. Up, away, maybe. When heart stops, mind may go away? Oh, although on the other hand, it might be on because of the robots. Actually, no. I think it might actually be on because of the robots. Although that's weird though, but let's try on here just in case. I think it's a little bit weird, but you know. Yeah. There are bricks here. Yeah, that was the way. Yeah, there's no reason to build bricks in here, to build a wall of a rock, but each brick is carved. Names, marked in the Elborathian way. Hundreds of names. Okay, a lot of people died. I'm gonna count them. Must be 200 to 300 of them. The ones lower down are older. Yeah, it's 3:30. I know, but I feel like we're not yet in a place to leave. I feel like we're almost in a place to leave, but I feel like we're just not 100% there yet. Almost. Because I want to make sure I want to set myself up for success so that when we start again next week, I know exactly where we are and what we need to do, basically. It's good to be out of there. Yeah. So here's my thought. We have been in this first room and in this corner. What I want to do is hit this area right here, and then we'll go. That's my thought. Yeah. So basically, going from the Dreamer to the Moth Tender was death. Well, we avoided Ox, but we haven't rummaged all the quarters of the mine. Not yet, but we're totally... Look at this place. I suspect this will be fast. Unless we find something interesting, which, chances are... Can we... I can't remember. Can we crouch? I feel like we can't crouch. Is that true? Can we crouch? We did. We found several inscriptions. Hold on. I can't remember if we can crouch. I feel like if we can crouch, they'd let us know, right? Yes. Can we crouch? Was that a thing we could do in the past? Oh, how can we bring some bricks to Tappy for translations? Oh, that would be super interesting. All right, so see, this is us. We are going to go into this one last room. And, oops, wait. These panels seem different. Just make sure you have time. Oh, I'm going to have food and work. They've been sliced open. Like someone wanted to get at the wiring. Let's look at the scratch symbols. We're basically done with this room, I think. This little area, and then I'm gonna make the Mexican casserole. Might be easier to bring Tappy to the bricks. Okay, scratch symbols. Let's see what we got. We have got hope. Maybe the robots. Yeah, okay. We've got hope. We have got we something about time. We don't have all of the symbols here, but I know that act, we will. Okay. I'm really excited. That's all I can think of. Does we will act hope make sense? Not really, but maybe. We're missing things. Let's see. Huh. Oh. If I get my hand in under here, I've got it. So what it looks like is that these humans were being held prisoner by the robots. But here's the thing. The machines were made by humans, right? As were the robots. On my way, mistress, I didn't actually invite you here. That wasn't really what I wanted. That's fine, but it's fine. And so clearly they did something to be able to escape. And if I twist here, I think that's going to hold. Yes, I feel like there's also Cylons, right? This is what I'm feeling like. Okay, let's connect the wiring. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, look, we just learned something good. That should hold. Mistress, I feel stuck. Do you? Do you? Why do you? Look, we're going to end the game now. But, why are you stuck? Why are you stuck? You seem like you're fine to me. Like, it seems like you can go all the way across. The walkway's in place. So, but I'm not. You know what? I think this is where we pause it. Because it's a little puzzle we get to work out together. Humans build the wobots. Rich folk transfer their minds to wobots. People rioted and buried the rich folk. So before we end, I just think we do our solvable inscriptions, because we have a couple, and we just solve them. And we get our credit for it. Boom. And then, look, we have some solvable inscriptions. This is how we end the stream. We're doing so well. We remember everything. We lose nothing. We know all. Look at us. And it looks like there are technically no more solvable inscriptions, but I really do think we probably have things that we can do at some point. Okay, so here we are. This is it. I'm going to say out loud what I'm going to do. When I get off of stream, I'm going to go. So what I did is I unpacked all of my spices, is what I did. But I did not put them away, so they're all just sitting on my counter, because I knew I was not going to cook if I did not have access to my spices. So I think what I need to do is put away the spices, and then I need to start making that casserole. Or maybe what I do is I start making the casserole first, and then while it's cooking, I put away spices. And then I get to eat food, and then, get myself ready to do schoolwork. I think that's the way to go. That's what I'm going to do. And here, hold on. Boop. I think we are. I always forget. Do we just exit? I guess we just exit. That's it. I guess that's it. We're exiting. Delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna make a Mexican casserole. While it's cooking, I'm gonna put away my spices and try to clean up my kitchen some. And then once all of that is done, I also think I should make my um, bicycle beverage, my electrolyte beverage, my sports drink, because I want to, I took my bikes to the bike shop to get their tune-up, and it was like the 1,000-mile tune-up, so it was like actually a pretty big tune-up all around. And now that they're all clean and lovely and lubed up, I think that I would like to ride my bike tomorrow. I will note that I have so much work to do, but I think it would be nice to get a nice 1-hour bike ride in tomorrow, which means I should make my bike ride drink today as well. And then I need to do a lot of schoolwork. I have to do a lot of schoolwork, unfortunately. A lot of email. I've got to do grading. I've got so much class prep, and that's going to be what I'm doing tomorrow. Like tomorrow's going to be a full day of schoolwork all day, every day. But I thought I could do a little bit of that today before I go off to see the play. I'm going to go and take a shower, get myself dressed into something nice to see the play, figure out how long it takes me to get down there. But that's going to be my day for today. And that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to raid people. PB, I love you. Just so you know, I am going to raid people because I think it's important to be a good citizen. So I want to say thank you for being here with me. And I should tell you where you can find me next. Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern at Laugh Love Lindy's channel, you can find me for the second episode of her Viking Call of Cthulhu game, Nightmares at Vesterbur, which will be the first session for my team, the Tax Evaders. Thursday evening, I will be trying to play Mutazione. We'll see how much farther we can get. We'll probably do a lot of chatting because that game is doing its thing. Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern here on my channel will be the next episode of The Gamblers, our Traveler Pirates of Drynex campaign, where they're going to get into a big fight with some dangerous Augment Raiders who are probably not going to do well against people with really good weapons and skills. And then on Saturday, I've got 2 streams. We've got Heaven's Vault again. We're probably going to end Heaven's Vault a little bit earlier. There is a game, a 2-shot that I'm going to be in that Derek P is running. And I don't know if it's streamed or not. It wasn't going to be streamed, but it might be streamed. And that starts at 3 p.m., I'm pretty sure. I will be able to tell you more. Hold on, maybe I know. Let's see. So 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and I believe it will be on Arieth Ninja's channel, but I will put it on the calendar. And then on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern over on Other Doc's channel. And by the way, that one that's going to be happening on Saturday is a 2-shot here in March. And then the part 2 will be in April, end of April. So, and then Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern over on Other Doc's channel is the premiere of season 2 of The Lords of Gossamer and Shadow, where I play Merlin, our Captain Merlin, our Merlin analog. So that's all the excitement. And today I'm going to get a Mexican casserole. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to make it. And I'm going to then see Hamlet. And that's going to be my day. And I think it'll be really lovely. And I'm really excited about getting caught up with gaming related things, but I've got to do schoolwork first. But we're going to be here together. And I think it's going to be really lovely. So my friends. House of Dreams. I just wanted to let you know that OSR and the narrative indie scene happened at the same time for the same reasons, and they're very, very similar. The OSR has way more in common with narrative indie games than it does anything that actually happened in the 1970s. That's all I'm going to say about that. They are very, very much they're very similar, even though they hated each other and were attacking each other all the time. They're very similar. They're very, very similar. So similar. That said, I'm going to go, but we're going to raid somebody. Who are we going to raid? We're going to raid. We are going to raid. Give me a moment. Hey, there's an episode of Invisible Sun happening, and I think we should raid them because that's interesting. So we're going to raid Sword and Key. We're going to raid the Indigo Neck. Sword and Key. They're doing Invisible Sun. I think we should check it out. Don't forget to give them the love with our raid message. And let's give them some love. And then when we do that, have a lovely, lovely time, everybody. And you know what? I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye, everybody. Ciao.